We're live. Okay, we're 13 minutes late. I'm super sorry. We are bringing the best of so many wonderful things that we have learned together tonight as practitioners for you guys. So I'm here repping my practice, Joyful Health, and Traci and Michelle are here, and they are wonderful practitioners. Reach out to them as well. And we are kind of like doing a combo thing tonight. So it's Jennifer with Joyful Health, plus the podcast that we love and love bringing to you guys about all things health, spiritual health, emotional health, physical health, everything under the sun. Tonight, as you can tell, we're talking about what is healthy. Essentially what happens is we have this multi-billion-dollar industry, and yet we're told to focus on all certain things that we know that we're going to go over tonight. But what is it to actually get healthy? What is it to actually be healthy? I can't tell you how many people we all hear from that are saying they feel stuck, they feel like they can't move forward, they're not happy for whatever reason, and they the reflection of that is them searching for health and healthy. And that's what we do for a living. We help people find that. So hi Sherry, hi Roberta, and I'm going to be quiet now so the ladies can speak.
Hi Sherry, hi Roberta. Good. Jennifer, I can't see the people. Is it Sherry Goodwin?
Oh, it might be that you're only able to see. So we're only able to see the comments of each of our people. So like your guys are going to see the comments that come up with Traci. I'm going to see the comments that come on as Jennifer. Sil has requested us to work on them tonight. And before we get into that, we were going to, and if Traci is okay with it, she had asked that I work on her for a little bit too. So normally what we do is before we come on with the podcast, we work on each other. These babies are the people I turn to have them work on me. What'd you say?
Me? It is Sherry Goodwin. It's my mom. Hi, Mom.
Oh, hi. Cool. So hi, everybody. Okay, so Traci, did you want me to start working on you now?
I would love it. Suddenly,
Okay.
do you want me just to tell you what happened? Or you want to just start working? I mean,
start working if you don't mind, so we can work on other people too. Yeah. Okay, so tell me what's going on though, if you don't mind. So I have like a baseline. So we practice muscle testing. Muscle testing for the majority of people and how they're taught is incorrect. It should be a baseline, like parameters, like a lie detector test. Even a compass knows a true north and a true south. So that's really the kind of how it should be taught. But one of the things that we practice is muscle testing. So I will be muscle testing for Traci, and working on her through distance. For people who are not sure about that, it's backed by quantum entanglement, a lot of quantum science, including what believers believe as Christians, and also many other religious beliefs and testimonies and actual PubMed studies and scientific studies from many modalities for many decades. So it can be done, and it is done. So go ahead, Traci, go ahead if you don't mind and tell me about what's going on with you.
So my stomach has been hurting. It wasn't hurting today. It's been hurting for a couple of days, not a couple of days straight. But when I get home from work in the afternoon, it just starts hurting. It's like a sour stomach. It's not like I have to go to the bathroom.
It's like up in here.
It's like directly in my stomach. It's not my gut.
Mm-hmm. It's a combination of emotional times physical, actually. We're in a little bit of both. We're dealing with your gallbladder and emotions. So we'll get into it just a second, but like from me working on you, I get like the whole picture, then I come back. But structural, chemical, nutritional, emotional, electrical. electrical. We're in emotional stuff, which we're on Facebook Live. So
do I do it? Do I take the plunge? Okay, let me just preface it by saying, all my friends and family, I totally love you.
yeah, and how we process stress and how we hold stress. I hear from a lot of people when I work on them, and they're like, wow, that's totally true, but I'm not upset about that anymore. Well, your body might still be. So, yeah. What we're going into is held belief systems from 14 on of inner warring. Inner warring is where we have large intestine, which is where this issue is kind of happening. And then it's like backing up into gallbladder. Gallbladder is where we have bile. You know, our gallbladder makes bile. It's also what energetically, not just as an organ system, but emotionally also is the balance of when we should shout and express and expel something, right? With shouting, that's what your gallbladder does. It says, hey, to break this down, I need to break it down. I need to deal with this. It needs to go a certain way. That's what bile does. It's like battery acid, or us letting it slide by. And it's from 14 on of things coming up regarding your relationship with not wanting to do that with your mother. So I don't want to have inner warring. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to shout. I don't want to express these things. I just wanted to let it go. But at the same time, that's not being beneficial for your body for right now. Which, as you ladies know, and anyone who's worked with me knows, that doesn't even mean it's a healthy or unhealthy relationship. It's just how our body processes the stress. Our body is processing it, saying, hey, this is not what's aligned. This is not my I am. This is not where I should be in this. This doesn't feel peaceful or safe, whatever it may be. So for you, it's let me see what we can do to shift it. Yeah, we can balance it. Do we need more story? No, we don't need more story. To balance it, we can go to here, 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 structural, chemical, nutrition, emotional, electrical, your belief systems, literally neural pathways. We don't need to get into any like the synaptic connections or anything. It's just neural pathways and processes. CBGB fire. So we're going to be doing EFT essentially, but totally different than EFT. So you have what's called a dantian, which is Dantein in traditional Chinese medicine. It's like the powerhouse of your body. Imagine like a Tesla coil. It's the coil. Okay. That's like layman's terms of how to explain it. We're going to be tapping to flush this out of like stored things in your body. The first thing that we're tapping is essentially like chakra level 3, right below your belly button, and conception vessel 9. So like right here below your belly button. If you don't mind, tap the front with your left hand and keep tapping. And then you're going to work up to heart chakra area right here, tapping. And I got to work on you while you do that. And there's a part of you that in here, this is why I'm trying to work on you, so I got to talk through it, doesn't want to let go. There's a belief of if you let go, that relationship is broken. And at the core of your being, you love her. And with all that you are. Like that's why it's like not shifting here, the core of your being. And letting go of the stress, but keeping the relationship. And I'm supposed to walk you through analogies, just as you do with your husband or your children. There's not a fear of that separation there. There's a knowing that as certain systems or belief systems or conversations happen and they arise and they're challenging, they lead to a stronger, healthier relationship. So closing your eyes and imagine having that conversation and knowing that as that breaks away, a new system, new beliefs are able to grow. We're making room for that. And tap slower. Breathe in really deeply and hold it as long as you can. When you can't hold it anymore, breathe out through your mouth. And then tapping here with left hand again, just forehead. We're flushing out what would be our governing vessel. For anybody who knows about Chinese medicine, acupuncture, any of that, governing vessel goes over your back, comes over here, goes into the roof of your mouth. Slower. Practice circle breathing. Breathe in as deep as you can without pausing. Breathe out through your mouth. In through your nose without pausing, out through your mouth. I am safe, I am secure, I am free flowing. And say those, please.
I am safe, I am secure, I am free flowing.
And you should be better now. We've checked everything and I've double checked. How are you feeling?
Yeah. The stomach ache is like, it's not there. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, it's not.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah. Over the next few days, 3 days, whenever this belief system or stress comes up, double tap right here. It's kind of the points that we do with cranial sacral. So double tap right here at the base of your atlas. And walking through visually of all that energy building in flow up and down, knowing I am safe, I am secure, I am free flowing. I know I gotta yawn because it's done. For anybody who's ever worked with me, they know I yawn when everything's done or I yawn, but it's just weird. It's interesting work. We're bioelectrical beings and it's fun work. So I did tell Sil, and I said earlier today that I would love to work on someone tonight. So Sil came up first, but in the meantime, while Sil's waiting patiently, thank you. Do you girls want to talk about what is healthy?
What is healthy? What does that mean? It means so many things. It's different for everyone, right? Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that I think it's different for everyone, really. It's finding balance and flow within your own body, mind, and spirit. That's what it is for me. And it's ever changing. I mean, we are always changing. Our cells are always replicating and reproducing and flushing. And so healthy is finding the balance through all of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, years ago when I started, I've been doing medical research for like almost 2 decades now. And years ago when I started, I had a totally different idea of what healthy was than now. You know, I was chasing a certain goal of like I was working out at the Y and stuff, and I was like, okay, if I do a this, then I'm gonna be a that. If I can make it to a this, then I can be especially with physique. To me, healthy was physique. Like, what does my physique look like? And rebounding in my physique. And then my son got really sick from, you know, one of the vaccines, and he reacted really adversely, like horribly. And so then it was like totally different ideal of what to look for health and what health is. At that point, you know, he was so incredibly sick that you're looking at everything under the sun. You're looking at supplements and medications, and I went to universities and, you know, diets and everything under the sun. And so health didn't become about something which now seems unimportant to me, like my physique. And not that that's not important, but that became like back burner. Like, okay, if I'm back in a bikini after my 2 kids, that's great. But if not, like, how do I make him healthy enough to hold down food, gain weight, like basic 101 functions, you know? And so yeah, I feel like it does change. It shifts a lot of what it is that we consider healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was just thinking healthy to me right now is setting boundaries for myself and um, not feeling guilty about those boundaries, not feeling um, like I have to compromise myself because of a guilt that I feel because I was a certain way. Mostly when I am assertive, when I am assertive with things.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like as little kids, we program into them like be quiet, do this, do that. And then we wonder why as adults people are wondering how do they find their inner voice, what job they should do, there's not a solid ground or footing to stand on anymore. And we essentially like beat it out of them as kids. And yet the people who do the best, like even Elon Musk, he's like, the people who went to university are the people who are working for me. The people who make the great grades are the ones who are working for this billionaire. Because those people, like, to not have that beat out of you, your voice, your passion, your drive, whatever God made you to be, it's beat out of us as kids. And yet he says, come to me with the heart of a child. That's an innocent heart that is constantly messing up, but has a beautiful humility to go before God and say, I'm messing up, but I know you're going to make this right. I trust in you. I believe in that. Like, I know you're going to make my path straight. That's really what is lost in that when we're told be quiet, sit down, whatever. And not like you shouldn't, like, obviously we don't want our kids like, to not know anything about social structure or anything. You don't want them like jumping on the table at like libraries or something, which are all closed by the way right now. But at the same time, it's like finding that balance, even in parenting and stuff, of healthy parenting, because then we see on the other hand of it, on the other side of it, with the work we do in ourselves and with others, that then they grow up and they've lost their voice, and it's so challenging. And how many layers there are when you lose your voice, of the relationships that are affected, like you're saying, like healthy boundaries. How many relationships that I've had with friends or in dating or whatever it may be, that like if I had my voice, then it would have played out very differently. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's really empowering for me, when I make a decision, I feel good about it. I express it, and then I'm like, yeah, this is how it's going to be because I'm in charge. So, yeah. And I'm not going to feel bad about that.
For sure. It's something that we, especially like as Christians, we really struggle with, because we're told, make sure your speech is seasoned with salt, make sure you're meek, you're pious, all these things. And I get that, but at the same time, this is all things that are part of the Lord, who is the epitome of what we are, right? Was like turning over tables. And the people that he was the most upset with were the people who had legalism in their heart, not the people who were doing bad. Like, not that he's condoning it, but the people that he was the most upset with were the people who were holding the law, because nobody can fulfill it. Nobody can. And so, when you're talking about saying these truths, I know that for me, speaking up, I was told, well, you're just supposed to put up with it. Well, you're just supposed to, turn the other cheek. Well, you're just supposed to. And while there's a place for that, there's also a place to hate what's evil and love what's good. There's a place to say the things with the voice that God's given you, the desires he's put in your heart, the truth that he's put in you, and speak those things. And that's one of the things I wish the church spoke of more. And I think no matter, and even I see it in the new age community too, it's all like love, healing, whatever, light, like we're only going to eat plants, that's all we're ever going to eat, we're only going to love each other. Okay, well, there actually are bad people to be upset with. There actually is bad things to be upset about. And to just go to this extreme of, we're just going to be a doormat, we're not going to say anything, we're not going to put up healthy boundaries, we're not going to call things out for what they are, whether it's Christian or religion or new age, that's not good either. Because then you have people who are being trampled on and perpetuating it. You're perpetuating it. I'm going to go off on a tangent, so I'll be quiet.
So one of the things that a word that keeps coming up, and I think you've even said it a few times tonight, is truth. And I think that that word has become so far in the distance for a lot of people because we're being told so many lies. Even when we think it's coming from a source that is true, even when we go on Google or we try to look something up, you find information there that is not truth. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah, very much. I mean, just this week alone, I've had multiple versions of that with clients. I have. So if you're wondering about, we'll start with something simple: salt, right? I have people who, again and again, they're buying red mint. I shouldn't call it out like that, but I did. They're buying pink Himalayan salt. The majority of pink Himalayan salt is actually full of toxins. It's full of chemicals, and you can tell because if you want to know if your salt is good, and we did this years ago with my kids. It's like a homeschooling thing. Pour a variety of salts in water, swirl it around, let it sit for a few hours, come back. If there's stuff floating in the bottom or even in the bottom, that sediment is contaminants. A lot of the pink salt is actually non-heme, non-usable iron. And that goes in our body. It gets liquid to it because of the H2O, and it gets oxidized, H2O, let alone the air that we breathe and stuff, and it becomes rusting in our body, which leads to lipofusion and age spots and all kinds of stuff, and feeling like you're achy and you're rusting all over. Well, people are paying more money for that kind of salt just to damage their body more. So really easy way you can do that is just put your salt in water and check it and see what's really going on with it. But so that's one of them where they're like, I thought I was doing a great job by buying this salt. No, actually, you're filling yourself full of heavy metals. Another one is, a lady who I think this was last week, and she's like, yeah, I'm on a low carb diet and low fat, and I'm like, what are you eating? And she's like, I don't know. Her adrenals are all over the place. Her weight is super high. She's holding weight because her body's malnourished. She's on low carb and low fat. Like she's just eating like chicken breast all day. Like that's it. And our body is meant to synergistically handle things. And we're not meant to just do just the protein and none of the fats or anything. Even when people, the carnivore movement out there, you got a lot of people who are not even getting enough fat in it. You have to have the fat to synthesize properly with all these processes in your body, let alone every single cell of your body. So even with dietary stuff, there's so many things out there that are a mess, or like the minerals. There's so many people out there that are using minerals, and when I go to muscle test them, the majority of what they spent hundreds of dollars on is not even bioavailable. Their body's not doing anything with it at all, and it's not even usable for them. It's not. It's like when people buy cereal or something for their kids and it says fortified with iron. You can't use that iron. You can't. Or when people put out like memes, like you're saying, all over Instagram and Facebook about this much spinach is worth this much iron compared to this much steak. If you're a cow, I don't have room in 4 stomachs. I don't transfer that iron that's non-heme into heme usable iron. But people don't know that. They're just like, yeah, I'm going to just eat spinach all day and get tons of iron. Maybe if you're a cow, but it's not how our bodies as humans work. So there's a lot of stuff out there that's so incredibly confusing that is full of either half truths and leading people to buy a product or buy a thing or do a diet or do a fad, but come to me, like I'm your source, or are completely just not true at all. Yeah. Sil said they have pink salt. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people do. I feel like almost everybody I talk to is like, I'm buying that. And I'm like, stop buying that.
So Jennifer,
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I know that there's a brand of salt that you like that you haven't been able to find. So what do you recommend people use?
I'd say buy small amounts and do the salt trick and then see what you like. Because honestly, depending on what's available where you're at, the salt trick is, a big box of salt, depending on the kind of salt, like Morton's is like $1, $3, whatever. Buy different salts and see, because even if, like, let's say that you really like this wonderful Celtic salt, but it's like $20 for a small bag. That's not really going to help you because you're not buying it anyway. So I'd say buy salts, try them out, put them in the water, see what you like. The things I would say to be careful of is the sediment, so do the water trick, and then also any kind of additional things like caking agents. Because if you're putting a salt in water, like I said, you're either going to see sediment or you'll see cloudiness. That cloudiness is the caking agent. Brant said, why do they need to fortify with it if it's not there originally? They fortify things because it's really cheap. It's non-heme iron. It's something that they have on the side, and when they add it, people pay money for it. So it's a way that costs them almost nothing, and it poisons you, but they look like a really great health conscientious company when they're not, and they make more money for it. Yeah, it's like citric acid. Here's one too, if you guys never watch anything else. Citric acid, unless it says natural citric acid, it's mold. Like legit, look it up. I'm not making this up. It's, what did you say, Michelle?
Don't use it.
Don't use it. It's mold. It's literally mold in your food. If it says citric acid and it doesn't say natural, then it's mold. Do you know how I know this? Because the companies that I've helped work for, even in helping launch them, you pay more to put natural. You pay more to get natural citric acid. The version of it that's mold is cheaper. It's cheaper. The company doesn't have to pay as much. If you are going to pay that extra money for natural citric acid that's not mold, you sure as heck are going to make sure that it says it's natural because you paid the money for it. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I feel like when you say that, I hear like, did you ever watch Reading Rainbow when you were a kid? It was like my favorite. I feel like I hear the more you know, Reading Rainbow or whatever. I think I'm blurring two things together. But you know that commercial that's like the more you know, the rainbow and the star. That was my like meme or avatar for a while. Was like that. Was like me sitting on like a mushroom or something like this, and it was like the rainbow of like the more you know.
Aw.
Yeah. I feel like if I was to say my 2 cents about health, health is not ever an end destination. Health is a journey. And that doesn't mean you can't be healthy. It doesn't mean like buy into the idea that you're spending like honestly, health should not be as expensive as this is. If you're spending a ton of money, reach out to one of us. Like this is ridiculous that people are this unhealthy. And the reason is because of what I'm about to get into in a minute. But health is the ability to rebound faster. Let's say you went out and you ate junk food, you rebound faster. Let's say you had a horrible emotional breakup, you rebound faster. Let's say you got in a car accident or whatever it is, you rebound faster. And God forbid any of those things happen, but you know, if that happens, you rebound faster. If you look at the healthiest, then you look at children, you know, like they're vital, they're growing, they got stem cells still going, they're still kicking it, like the best of what is available. And what do? They fall off the monkey bars, eat it hard, rebound faster, right? They eat junk one day and a whole bunch of cake, and the next day they rebound faster. They get sick and ill, and you're like, wow, they're up and going from a virus, from an infection, whatever it is, they rebound faster. As a whole, not every kid's like that, but you know, that's what health is to me. It's the ability to rebound really fast, emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever it may be. And yeah, I would say the health thing that bothers me though is as far as why people aren't getting healthy and what to look for is I'm seeing the same thing again and again in the naturopathic, holistic community that I'm seeing in the allopathic, modern medicine community. And it's the same mentality. And the mentality is how do we suppress or silence whatever's going on? As opposed to why did this begin? What's the brain pattern? What's the belief system? Because really, our belief system is what our genetics and epigenetics are, and that's what tells our DNA to tell our RNA to tell our cell what to be. Should you be a hair cell, a blood cell, or whatever cell, a cancer cell, whatever it may be. And so really it's what's going on in here, in our belief system first and foremost. And none of that is really, I wouldn't say none of it, but it's really not being addressed. And what I see happening is, you know, I don't know if you guys know, like, not you guys know this, but like many people know the history of pharmacopoeia, the history of the pharmaceutical companies. And how it began was, you know, a few hundred years ago. And you can look it up. There's a whole bunch of different articles and stuff about this, you know, but years and years ago. The gist of it is that there were herbal remedies and people who made herbal remedies. And at that time, you can't really make money off of, black walnut root. Black walnuts fall off a tree and they're cheap as crap. You know what I mean? Like, and then somebody gets your recipe and they're making it now, right? Like thieves was accredited as getting rid of, helping get rid of plagues and stuff, which is amazing. But there really wasn't money to be made. So you're putting all this work and time into it and it's doing stuff, but there's not a lot of money to be made. So here comes along the idea of, what if I have my special, like my thing? Like Dr. Pepper was actually a doctor who went around peddling crap, by the way. So like look up the history of medication and all this stuff. But anyway, so they had these herbal remedies, and then it would become like Traci's herbal remedies, secret sauce, like it's a secret and you have to spend more for it. Or Michelle's magical potion, that's really what happened with a bunch of people who were out there just putting concoctions together and trying to sell it and make money. At the same time, that was like the budding time, or the time where the pharmaceutical companies began. And what they were doing was taking things that they could say it's our private recipe or our private patented ingredients or system, whatever it is. So instead of it just being something everybody has access to, which is herbs, you can't patent something natural. If you don't believe me, look it up. If something is patented, it's synthetic and not natural. That is the law. Like I can't patent an apple. I can't. You cannot patent something natural. So in order to patent it, so they would have the only rights to it and be able to sell it for a lot, they started making synthetic versions of natural remedies. That is what the pharmaceutical company is. So when you're looking at the base of the naturopathic, holistic, and pharmaceutical allopathic, the difference is this one is making remedies and medications that are synthetic based on what nature already has available. That's the basis of it. So in the end, whether you're approaching an issue with an herb, homeopathy, whatever it may be, or you're approaching an issue with a synthetic version of those things, we still have to wonder, is it uprooting the main issue? Or is it just silencing and suppressing the symptoms? Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. And that's where people get stuck the most, are the times where it's just suppressing the symptoms or silencing the symptoms, but not really addressing the underlying issue of what's going on with belief systems, what's going on with our brain patterns, what's going on with our genetics. And if we're not doing that, then your body will express that problem in a different way. So even if you're able to get rid of your headaches with a medication or an herb or a remedy, your body's, whatever the imbalance is that's in there, will present itself in a different way. And so that's why people say, hey, I'm still sick, I'm still getting sick, what's going on? It's because the work isn't being done to find what's really going on underneath. And then I'll be quiet.
So as you were talking about pharmaceuticals, what came to me is, this is probably a whole separate topic, but to me, it's important to mention really the root of the word pharmaceutical. If you look it up, it is witchcraft. So
say that again like 5 times, please.
It's really important. Most people don't know, and Logan's in the background here. I think he's ready to chime in. But yeah, I mean, look it up yourself, search it.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people are like nurses who have taken my course, people who are nurses, people who are physical therapists who have taken my course. Just this last one, in our last HIP class, there were nurses and stuff, and they're like, I learned more in the first 3 weeks of your course, the HIP course, than I did in all of my years of nursing school and in the 6-month training I did for functional medicine health, of how the body actually works. Because people are not taught how the body actually works anymore. What they're taught is, here's a Merck manual, regurgitate it. And the same thing is happening though in naturopathic. Here's a list of remedies, apply them. But it's not why are the headaches there? It's, here are headaches, do this. Here's an endocrine imbalance, do this. Like, yeah, but why is it there? Like, what in the world happened? Like today I was working with somebody with a thyroid issue and having endocrine issues as well, and irregular cycles. Like, get to the bottom of it. It began when they were in 5 months in utero, and it has to do with the receptor and effector cellular structure of literally what's going on with a combination of their thymus gland, their T cells, and a whole bunch of other things. Nobody's looked at that though. Nobody has. But then when you go in there and muscle test and listen to the body and facilitate that conversation, the body's like, oh yeah, no, it's actually way more complex than just medicating me and giving me an herb. This is what's going on here. Yeah.
Pharmacology.
They're looking at the dictionary.
Oh yeah, and
They pulled out
pharmacopoeia.
the dictionary for
It's there. I saw it.
pharmacology, I think.
Pharmaceutical.
Pharmaceuticals.
All right, where is it?
Not to get off the topic here, but just it's
It's in the actual dictionary.
Well, the actual dictionary changed the actual definition of vaccines the other day.
Really?
that's why it's
Yeah, it's
important to have
timestamps and
older
everything.
versions
Yeah.
of dictionaries, older versions of Bibles, older versions of everything.
It's why things are being taken out. It's why everything, like history, everything is being deleted, because then you can't know why they do what they do. You just believe it. It's like, there's this article that, my boyfriend showed me today about how it said, it's like, I think it's like Newsweek or something. And the title of it is organizations are now tracking white supremacist males, and it doesn't even matter what you say after that. It's organizations. So I'm just supposed to believe what they say.
Oh, you're frozen.
I'm not just gonna. Am I there now?
You are. You're kind of coming in and out. Your screen is frozen. I don't think I can hear you. Oh, wait, there you are. I think you're back.
Hey.
Hey,
Yeah,
you're back.
I'm not gonna. I don't understand. Like, we're supposed to just believe whatever this organization says because it's an organization. A Girl Scout cookies is an organization. The Girl Scouts is an organization. Am I just gonna listen to whatever the Girl Scouts say now? And I was a Girl Scout. Like, at what point did we lose any kind of authority for questioning authority? Like, just an organization is saying this, so do it. It's like, people don't know. People don't realize the CDC and the World Health Organization are literally private groups that own patents on vaccines. So the people who literally own the patents on the vaccines are the private groups telling us to buy the vaccine.
Oh God.
And bullying us into it.
How do people not do that? Like, what in the world?
All right. So this is the New World
Yeah,
Dictionary of the American Language, and it says pharmaceutical, to practice witchcraft, use medicine. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's
the rebuttal to that, because I've had that conversation with people. The rebuttal is, yeah, but back in the day when people were using herbs, it was considered witchcraft. And so that's why I didn't even argue that point anymore. What I said was,
Let's look up the word witchcraft. I'll do that for you right now. I'll tell you exactly.
instead of even like arguing that point, what I've said is, look, they made synthetic versions of what nature already has for free. And what happens is when we make a synthetic version, we don't understand the long-term chemical biophysiological processes that are interrupted. That's why it says, hey, if you or a loved one has taken this, call this number. Or it says, you know what, ask your doctor if this is right for you. And then it says, side effects may include bleeding, hemorrhaging, loss of death, loss of hearing. But like, oh my gosh, like, that's not worth getting rid of my headache, dude, like, at all. So these synthetic versions of what nature already has is just, not only is it suppressing and doing all this, but it's also the fact of, like, there's a lot of side effects to consider. And I'm not anti-medication, but like, allow us informed consent that there's actually probably more than likely a natural version of that synthetic thing. What did you say, Tracy?
I don't think people care about the side effects. They think it's a normal thing that happens when you take something or inject your body with something, that it's normal. And that's what
like I literally, if you saw me, got flushed and red and hot, and I could feel myself start perspirating.
I know.
Like I ache. Like, I'm smiling, but like, I ache for this. I ache for this. Like, it's just, it's horrible.
It is.
Yeah, it's, we are, we live in a country where almost everything is backward now. Like, we're a democracy, which means that our rights, our constitutional rights, protect the individual from the whole. And yet what's being pushed all over is the whole believes this, and for the whole, you have to be that. That's exactly opposite of literally our political system. Literally opposite. We have exchanged everything, back to what you're saying earlier, Tracy, of truth for lies. It's a lie that you need billions of dollars to get healthy. It's a lie that you can't get healthy. It's a lie that you have to have synthetic versions of things to get healthy. Now, can that be helpful in the meantime? Yeah. But it's a lie that these things are what is what is your life. Like, it's a lie. It's a lie that the majority has to do something in order for you to be healthy. If that's true, okay, get rid of every fast food chain, get rid of all citric acid that's really mold, get rid of all corn syrup, get rid of everything else, because you know what, if that's true, then all of everybody who's sick, they're impacting their immune system and weakening it on purpose. They shouldn't be allowed to do that if I can't be allowed to breathe air.
So Jennifer, how can we find the truth? How do we know the truth? Because it is really, really hard to find. And the other thing is, when you do find it and you do try to talk to people and have conversations just with opposing views or things you believe to be truth, it is so hard for them to have the conversation, for one. But even if you just want to look for the truth, where do you find it?
Well, those are two totally different questions, but I love both. One, ask questions. You know, people who follow me know I'm a Bible believing Christian. I believe God meets you wherever you are, but personally, how I experience God or the universe is through the Lord Jesus Christ. That's who I am. But that being said, even if all you believe is no religion, you just believe to his great prophet or teacher, you know what he did? He asked a lot of questions. He really spoke and interacted so much with questions. And when you ask questions, you find someone's heart. Well, I post a lot of stuff on Facebook and it's great. Really, when I'm talking to people in person, you're able to have that conversation and ask questions. And I would encourage everybody to do that. Hey, why do you believe in this system, whatever it might be, this medication, this process, this whatever it might be? You know, why are you choosing to mask? You know, what does it mean to you? Seeking their heart takes time, and it's why nobody does it anymore. Because we are prideful and we no longer care about seeking each other's heart as much as we do about pushing our personal agenda. And that's a point of fear. And so switching the conversation from me being afraid of what other people do or other people think to seeking their heart, knowing that no matter who they are, what they do, I'm safe, and just seeking their heart. So I would say ask questions if you're trying to have that conversation with people in hopes of in any way spreading light and truth, having a conversation, asking questions. As far as how to find truth, well, there's so many things. Like, through my mind, I'm like, well, I've spent, close to 2 decades medical researching. There's so many great resources. I've read hundreds of books, Pollock about structured water and the cell structure, and, I'm going to be quiet. But like, one, research, but like that's overwhelming. So I feel like that's not healthy, or not helpful. So yeah, it's a good question. I'm a little bit stumped because I'd be like, start researching. But the thing is, more and more research is being shut down, which is true. More and more people, including like Dr. Mercola, are being shut down with the free information that they put out. I'm shadow banned. Look at my rates of people who viewed me during the summer. I put out a video within like 2 or 3 days. I'd have 15 to 20,000 views. Now I have like a few hundred. So please love and share this, by the way. But a lot of that kind of stuff is being shut down. It's being shadow banned, everything under the sun. I would say a few books, if you wanted to get some books that I know you can get on Amazon right now to your Kindle. One is The Body Electric, and another one is The Body Keeps the Score, not a score, The Body Keeps the Score. Another one is Mind to Matter, T-O, Mind to Matter by Richard Dawson. And another one is The Subtle Body by Cindy Dale, Cyndidale. Also, I'd highly recommend you to sign up for my course, which begins April 5th, because then you would learn a ton about how the body works to help yourself and others heal, for sure. Although we don't heal, prescribe, treat, or diagnose, but you can help facilitate that conversation for yourself and others. There are people who they've been really sick for many years. They have. And while I can do amazing work in one appointment, so can you guys, like we all can, one appointment at times may not be enough to undo what's taken many years to get to that point. And so in that case, again and again and again, take the HIP course, take one of my courses. It's worth spending the money on the course and you empowering yourself to help yourself and others get healthy is way more important in my mind than spending another hundreds of dollars this month and next month on diet and supplements and all that. You know, like spend the money, get the research, get the training on what supplements work and which ones don't, why certain diets work and when they don't, and how to find out what matches for you and for your body. That's what I would say. I don't know if that's a good answer.
It is a good answer. We agree. And really quickly, back to what we were saying about the root of pharmaceuticals being witchcraft, and that's actually the definition in the real dictionary. And people sometimes have the argument about, oh, well, they used to call people who worked with herbs witches. Well, then you go to witchcraft in the same dictionary, and it says the power or practices of witches, black magic, sorcery, an instance of this, bewitching, attraction, or charm. Nothing about herbs.
Yeah, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't, I researched it. It's just, yeah, I mean, I could do this all day, which is what I do. Again, take my course. And if you're not taking my course, love and share this. Tell other people to take my course. Yeah, I mean, it's teaching about, even if you really want to blow your mind, look up Beauchamp and Pasteur, Louis Pasteur, and Beauchamp, Bechamp. Look up terrain theory versus germ theory. If you look up those two guys, you're going to see where things took a huge turn for how the health industry approaches helping people get healthy. Huge turn. And it led to where we are now. Yeah, with the fear of a virus, Nobody's, it's crazy. Could you imagine being told that in order to buy and sell and go to work, you have to prove you don't have AIDS, which is a virus, which is transmittable, with the same particulate size or comparable particulate size to the COVID? Like, literally. Could you imagine that? Like, hey, you're entering Whole Foods right now. In order to go grocery shopping, we need to verify and give you a test to make sure you don't have AIDS.
And by the way, they use the same PCR test to identify both.
Yeah, I mean, people would be outraged, and yet they're okay with it because they're afraid. They're afraid of not being able to buy and sell. They're afraid of, being looked at by other people, that they're not social distancing, that they're not doing the thing you're supposed to do, that they're not masking, whatever it may be. And yeah, it's ridiculous.
People are afraid of their own families. And I mean, like, I had 2 people tell me today that they got the shot, thank you, because their family wanted them to, and they felt bad about it. They said, I felt bullied into it. I guess that's why I got it.
I just want to clarify for everyone. Fauci himself and the CDC and the inserts all say it does not, the shot, no vaccine stops prevention. I mean, it prevents transmission.
Don't say that word.
None. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you guys can be mad at me. No.
Don't say the V word. We can't say that.
Yeah. No Roxanne. I'll start calling it Roxanne. Maybe that sounds kind of normal.
Anyway, this really is a new one. It's a different kind of injection, but yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't stop transmission. That's not what that does. So why they're doing it, I don't understand. Again, you know what you had asked a minute ago as far as truth? I would go back to that. I would encourage people that if you are having that issue with your family, ask your family member, have you researched what effects this does or does not have on transmission?
No,
have
I
you looked into
did ask that. And I tried to listen very compassionately instead of, but they didn't, you know, it's like I said, they just believe what is being fed to them.
Mhm.
And when you speak the truth and you try to encourage them to do their own research and find the truth, it's so mind controlled, brainwashed already that it seems not to matter. Maybe it does. Maybe some go home and process and think about it.
No, I've had family members be mad at me and tell me that I am all the things like not nice because I didn't wear a mask.
No.
And yet when I ask them like essentially like, why their thoughts are that before or after or whatever, depending on the family member, it's all because of everybody. It's for the whole. It's for the greater good. It's really because it doesn't stop transmission. And even if it does, it's not transmitted like that. They've done studies on it, let alone the fact that it's not a pandemic. The rates of death, the fatality rates last year were the same as what they were with the normal flu. Like none of really? Is that really your issue here? Or are you just upset because I stand out and that makes you embarrassed? And in the end, it's that. They just don't want to say that. That's why they say it's rude. It's disrespectful. If I was sitting here actually spreading HIV/AIDS by injecting people with it, they would not be like, that's rude. That's disrespectful. So their issue is not if I'm really contaminating people. Their issue is that they don't want to be looked at as the outsider. Yeah. And I mean, I said this stuff a year ago. A year ago, I said this is going to be like the Holocaust 2.0, the yellow badge. Like I said it a year ago, and that's what it's become.
It's just really sad. It makes me so sad. And you've probably seen the video and the letter that the PhD virologist put out, Gert Van, I can't remember how to pronounce his whole name, but he wrote a letter to the world saying, I mean, this guy is like the king of these, what did you call them? Roxannes.
Yeah, the lead designer.
He's like the lead of so many committees. He was with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and like all these different things. His reputation is large, and he is telling the world, you better not do this because you are about to kill everyone's immune system. And the only thing they're going to be able to fight now is that strain that is in that injection and nothing else. No other virus or bacteria.
Maybe Jennifer knows something about it. I'm curious about Jennifer.
I'm changing partners here. Here comes Logan.
I'm sorry, Jennifer. I got a quick question for you. So, what do you know? What do you know about non-specific and specific antigens? Because that's what this Gert guy was talking about. And I didn't like research fully this guy.
Essentially, in layman's terms, non-specific and specific, the difference is adaptability. Okay, so like if we have our innate immune system tag and bag something, that's what he's talking about. When we have our innate immune system tag and bag something that we actually come in contact with, then we have the full spectrum of whatever that virus is. It's a live virus. We came in contact with it. Our immune system recognizes it as a living organism, or the fullness of its genetics, right? Genetics is what allows us to adapt, right? To adapt, change and adapt. Well, we see the fullness of that genetics, whatever it may be, even if it's like virus or whatever, we see the fullness of whatever that thing is, right? And then we go, okay, this is what all we need to do to tag and bag this for all the options, or at least most of the options presented here, right? So even as that adapts, like let's say chickenpox, and even as it adapts, for the most part, because we came across it as a live version, an active version, we now can adapt to a lot of the options of how it's going to adapt, right? Does that make sense? Where like if we're taking like a non-live version, specify like a portion of it pulled out, not really there, then it's like our immune system is only going to be able to create antibodies to a lesser version of it, a weaker version of it. So once it adapts and changes, we're screwed, which is what we've seen for the past 7 years with the flu virus vaccine. that
Right.
every time it adapts and changes, you have to have boosters and boosters. The CDC themselves on the insert for the flu vaccine says it's only 12% efficacy, 12%. So that's not very efficient compared to 100% of immune system efficiency. If my immune system comes in contact with it as a live virus, deals with it, and then sees the variety of ways that it could try to adapt. You know, if it's in your system as like a live virus, it's going to adapt a whole bunch of ways, right? Like it's going to your throat, you're going to produce mucus. It's going to your nose, you're going to produce mucus. It's going to your ears. You as it's adapting, you're catching up in real time with your immune system. I hope that makes sense in like layman's terms.
No,
And
that
Barbara,
makes,
yes,
that makes sense, because I think it's important, because the way I'm seeing it in my mind is that our bodies have non-specific antigens that are naturally occurring, so that when we get all these viruses, we're exposed to a world of trillions of viruses, so that our bodies are natural. We need these viruses in order to survive. So what happens is that when we get a vaccine, this is the way I'm understanding it anyway, when we get a vaccine, we're being pumped full of specific antigens, and then when we get those specific antigens, now it replaces our non-specific antigens. Now that we can't fight all these other viruses because they are trumping our non-specific antigens.
Yes, with modern Roxanne's, not
Yeah.
with and ideally when it first began. I know, right? You can't not say it, right? It's like, yeah. Yes, with modern Roxanne's, because of the way that the mRNA is in there, is why they're super concerned about it. The other ones, yes and no, depending on the actual version. Like there's always been live versions and non-live versions. The cesspool of stuff that they put in there as adjuvants is always different. The antigen amount, non-antigen, like all this stuff has always been different. So I can't speak to all the others. The biggest concern with this is the concern that what they're doing in there combined with the mRNA technology is literally okay. So here, let's just basic. Even if you don't even look at their advertising literally calls it technology that they can modulate.
A device.
Technology that you're putting in your body that they can now shift and change and alter and modulate. Depending on the marketing pamphlet, it says a different thing. All that aside. What was I going to say now? Sorry, I went to like 5 different places. Okay, all that aside, your body taking in RNA, which is what the virus is. Anybody who knows what RNA is? It doesn't have DNA. It's RNA, which means it needs our DNA in theory, according to germ theory. It needs our DNA to replicate and duplicate, right? So, and also on a side note, even if we masked every human, it lives in gorillas and animals. What are we going to mask all the animals, all the pigeons on the roof? Like, oh, you got a pigeon on your roof. You're shut down now. You're quarantined. You can't buy and sell. Like, I don't understand when people are getting logic through their brain. Like, it lives in all things that have DNA that are mammals. Like, it came from a bat. People, you're gonna track down all the bats now. Is that where we're at? I mean, like, for real, we're gonna have a problem. You're gonna track down them because they carry blood. Like at what point does this freaking stop? Okay, anyway, yeah, I'm gonna not be on a tangent. Okay. So pulling it back in, RNA requires DNA to be able to replicate, right? They have DNA from male, DNA from females. Inside what you're putting in you, DNA from male, DNA from females, right? Mixed with RNA from a virus and mRNA. That is a cesspool of replication in your body that, depending on who you are, what's going on, you now get to enjoy the fruits of their labor of a cesspool of male DNA, female DNA replicating in your body with what's happening with technology that they have, and RNA from a virus and mRNA from their technology. Yeah, you know, Mr. Potato Head, who's out now. Give your kid a bunch of jacked up pieces that he doesn't come with. Like, just cut up some carrot sticks and stuff. Let them play with that, and what you end up with is what they're doing.
So can I ask you a quick question? Just on your own opinion and theory, if you even have one, maybe you don't. But what is the objective of this? What is actually going on?
You know you're leading with that, Logan.
That's what I was just thinking.
It's a big question, because what's the purpose of this? There's got to be I have my own theories, which I'm not going to talk about right now, but I want to know what your theories are.
That's not fair.
I don't know because
I am someone who doesn't veer far left or right. I'm libertarian. I believe in allopathic as much as I believe in naturopathic, as much as I believe in finding the root. I am. I've never come out as pro or anti Roxanne's, whatever you want to call them, the shot. I'm not, because I believe science is the study of. Science is never settled. And that kind of mindset of ever always growing and being challenged and learning is the core of who I am. And I have to like step that down first. So in response to what you're saying, I don't believe there's a one. I don't believe that like there's this conspiracy theory that there's just one mindset and one thing that's going on overall. What I believe is that there are many people who are greatly influenced in a variety of ways, and their ears are tickled to one direction or the other throughout their life and their life's journey. And the only way that I can see that you would put as a thing that would hold true, right? Not a conspiracy theory, not it's the Masons, it's the Gates. You know, if you got rid of Bill Gates, somebody else brought him where he is and walked alongside of him. It's not like everybody disagreed with him and he became a billionaire, right? Like people are happy he's doing what he's doing, right? If you got rid of the Rockefellers, somebody else would fill that slot, right? There are many people who are portions of this, right? Who are players in these games or whatever you want to call it. So I wouldn't say it's something like that my mind goes to. What I'd say is if I was to solidify it or quantify it into the smallest thing in the most layman's terms, I'd say people as a core are wanting to go in one of two directions. They're either wanting to go towards freedom and abundance and believing in the truth that we have everything that we need. We have enough land to supply, to feed the world. We do. I mean, the queen herself owns more land than any other being, right? We have enough land, right? We have enough remedies for everything that's negative. There is in nature an opposite. For every poison, there's an antidote. There is, right? So for every longing, there's someone who's going to be there to fill that need, and walking in that, being part of that, accepting that, both parts of it, you know, giving that and receiving that abundance, or the other opposite. And the opposite is separation from God, separation from the whole, separation from the community. It's void, it's lack, it's fear. It's, I don't have, how can I get more from? I don't have this, so how can I get more from them? More money, more time, more whatever. And that's their motive, is I don't care what it costs them. I don't care what it costs the whole. I don't care what it costs the community. I don't have, or I am not, and so it's going to cost them. And then that mentality, I don't know if that makes sense. That's how I'd answer it though, in truth.
No, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I kind of look at it like,
Yeah,
I feel that within natural law, that I feel like that I see that it's that what you're saying, the negative aspects of what's occurring is really prevailing, but I cannot see it prevailing forever. I mean, I don't know how long.
I don't know that. Yeah, it's
long time.
Yeah, it's like every poison has an antidote, right? Every positive has a negative. You know, the Earth has a South Pole and a North Pole, and you know, like there's always that balance there. The thing is, for as much push as there is in this one direction, which has become worldwide, like we're talking, there are people who are under the belief that, and even, you know, Agenda 2025, Agenda 2030, you know, like the belief that there's huge, like more than 50% of the population of the world going to be decimated, right? So like huge things people are discussing. And not even conspiracy theories. Those agenda whatever, and then fill in the year, were not put out by conspiracy theorists. Those were put out by organizations that this is their agenda, is to achieve this goal.
You can go on the website.
Agenda.
You go right on their website. I did a year ago. I went right on to Agenda 2030, and I went on to World Economic Forum a year ago. And I've been telling people, just go to the website. You'll see what they're up to, what's going on.
Yeah,
that's all.
There's a reason why those things aren't shut down, but like Mercola is. But so I would say with that mindset, with that belief, you know, like that's what's going to happen. That's what we're heading towards. There is going to be an alternate the other way. There is. The thing is that I would encourage people and caution people, Nobody's going to save your ass. Now, do I believe that there isn't help? No, there are people like Michelle and Logan and Traci and me that are out there telling truth and putting you in touch with, however possible, get healthy now. Like waiting and putting off your health is the worst thing you could do. Like if I was to invest in anything right now, I'd invest in my health and my health and my health. Like that's what I would invest in. But I would actually get to a point where I could, because you figure, and this is my theory, that the healthier we are, and this is true, whether you're pro or anti-vaccine, it is true that there are people who have full Roxannes, whatever, I've said the word like so many times, that are fully vaccinated and they are healthy. That is true. That's one of the things that, it's another thing that like in the health community that's naturopathic and all that, that bothers me to no end. Stop lying to people and telling them half truths. I get what the concerns are. I had a son who had one vaccine, forever changed his life, bleeding in the brain within 24 hours. And so I get both sides of it, right? But I feel like we have to speak truth to that too. It is true that there are people who are fully vaccinated and are healthy. So then the question came to me years ago, why are there people, whole groups of people who are fully vaccinated and healthy, and there are those who aren't? And that comes to literally what's happening with your epigenetics and your genetics, with your methylation and detoxification processes. The healthier someone is in working on those things, which Traci works on, I work on, Michelle works on, the healthier someone is with working on those things, then the healthier they can adapt and shift and change no matter what comes into their body, which is what health is. It's the ability to bounce back. That is the most crucial thing. Stop looking at what supplements are there. Stop looking at what diet's there. Figure out the root of how well you're detoxing. Because if you're putting it in, you have to get this out. You have to. How well are you methylating? What methylation is when you bring in food, how are you using it? What are you doing with it? That's what methylation is. It's a methyl donor process. So how well are you methylating? How well are you detoxing? You need to find that out ASAP, because this vaccine, Roxanne, whatever you call it, is becoming mandatory. You need to figure out your methylation and detoxification and how to shift it and change it, which is what we do ASAP. My theory is that the more that we can shift it and change it, the more that there will be people who are set aside who are going to be the ones who are looked at of how are you still making it? How are you still kicking it? What's going on with you that's different?
And that's the thing. Well, I have two things to say. One is, yes, of course, I completely agree. We've got to find the deepest root. And that a lot of times that does mean, yes, for a time, you probably are going to need other things too. You might need to change your diet. You might need to add some supplements. And what was the other thing I was going to say? I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of that, because what you're saying is true, but they don't always.
It's not like I'm anti-supplements or anti-diet and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that we work on is checking people's microbiome and their gut health and how well they're breaking down food and they're digesting it and what's going on with inflammatory markers with IgG and IgA and all these things. So like we definitely look into that. The thing is, just shooting in the dark with this, like, what is it, $50 billion industry of just shooting in the dark. I'm going to try the next diet, the AIP, the autoimmune, which is the AIP is autoimmune, the elimination diet, the rotation diet, the keto diet. I'm just going to try it. That's not getting you anywhere when you could save a crap ton of money and time having someone come alongside of you like me or Michelle or Traci and facilitate that conversation and actually find why things are not shifting and what is the best to help it shift. Yeah.
Yes. And the other thing I was going to say is everywhere I've seen in the natural health world, everywhere, everyone except you are the only one I have heard give people hope that there's got to be an antidote, because
there has to be. You make me cry when you say that. There has to be.
I feel the same way when I hear
There's
all
always
these
been
people
that.
saying it's just the end, there's nothing you can do about it. I think that can't be true. There's got to be something that we
No,
can
I get goosebumps. And you know what? Like, you guys can muscle test me, you can figure it out, you pray about it, do all the things, but there is something. I don't read the future. Even muscle testing is not the future. You know, I've had Christians ask me about muscle testing. They're like, is that divination? No, it's the same thing as when you send a piece of your blood that tests your thyroid panel or anything else. It's just a way of measuring what's going on in the body. That's not witchcraft, even though life is in the blood. You know, you're taking whole tubefuls of it to tell a thyroid test to tell you you're still in normal range, which really you're probably not usually. But no, it's not divination. So I'm not here doing divination. I can't tell you what's going to happen. I can tell you that I'll go based on this if nothing else. Christians know this, that the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. God's word says that, right? It says he's made himself known throughout creation, right? We look at creation and we learn more and more about God. That's why all religions can look and see a version of God, a portion of God, whatever he is, because he's made himself known throughout creation. So when we're looking at creation, for every poison, there's an antidote. For every up, there's a down. For every season, there's an opposing season. For every time of death, there's a time of life. The energy cannot be created or destroyed scientifically. So for every death, there's a version of that then that energy is then turned back into life. Every time that there's life, that's then turned back into death. We see that. We know that. There's night and there's day. There just is. And so it's not because I'm hopeful. Like, I'm just sitting there like as a hippie. I'm not even a hippie person by nature. I'm not. And, it's not just like some new age belief or just some happy-go-lucky religious belief. That's what happens.
I agree. I feel like all of this makes me so sad. What's happening, the people lining up to get this injection who are not being given the truth. I feel like we know more about what's in it because we've looked at it. But what people are being told is it's safe, go get it. Well, guess what? It's not even FDA approved. And I'm not even
people who said it's safe are the people who are selling it and own
right.
the patent.
Right.
I've kind of wanted to make a commercial with my kids because they've asked questions about it. And I'm like, all right, here's the thing. I'm going to sell you a toy. You ready? Okay. All right. The toy, it really doesn't benefit you. And in fact, you can become really sick. You may not become really sick, but you could become really sick to the point of death, not being able to play anymore, not being able to walk anymore. But, everybody's getting this toy. You really need to get this toy. Like, wouldn't you ask why is the benefit? Like, what's the benefit? So that's what he asked. What's the benefit? And I was like, the benefit is that you get to be like everyone else. You get to get the toy. That's it? Yeah, that's it. Does everybody else enjoy playing with it? No, not really. No, it does not stop transmission. It does not slow down or speed up anything in your body as far as you recovering if you are exposed. In fact, it is a inflammatory response purposely put upon your immune system. So if anything, you're pissing off your immune system on purpose, weakening your immune system. And then they sell it and go boost your immune system because you create antibodies. Your immune system created antibodies. This didn't create antibodies. This actually slowed down you being able to create antibodies to it. And then the response is, yeah, but it's in a controlled environment put into your body. Yeah, it's also controlled technology that they now have in your body. We couldn't say that until this vaccine. Yay, COVID. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah, it's not slowing anything. It's not improving your immune system, but there's a lot of side effects. I don't know why anyone would buy it. And the people telling you buy it are the people making money from it.
Yep.
Diana said she's heard of 3 people being paralyzed after getting this. Yeah.
Oh, I have seen so many stories. I've cried so many tears seeing the things that are happening to people, and I don't know. It just makes me so sad. There's
It's
lots
not that
of
it's
theories
not
out
that I don't
there
see them.
what's
I actually stay
happening.
off of Facebook. You know, like I stay off of Facebook a lot. I come on Facebook because I love you guys, not just Traci and Michelle. Every single one of you who sees my face, I'm here because I love you. So love and share this, by the way. I am not on Facebook very often. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy any of the social media stuff. It's not my jam. You know, I stopped watching the news years ago, and so I research things as far like I read PubMed studies. That's my jam, you know. Being on Facebook and hearing the latest tweet and TikTok and whatever they're not my thing. It's a lot of fear mongering, and I feel like I can tell a difference in my body when I'm on it and when I'm not. And when I'm not on it, there's this calmness of knowing that kingdoms rise and kingdoms fall, like the Bible says. And me being on there and knowing how it's rising or falling doesn't shift the rise or fall.
And going back to one of the books you recommended, Mind to Matter by Dawson Church, he talks about they've done studies. I think that I could be getting the numbers wrong, but I think there were over 600,000 people in this study where they looked at Facebook posts and what the people were exposed to, and then how their posts changed according to what they were being exposed to. And when it was negative, their posts were negative. And when it was positive, their posts were positive.
Yeah, I used to joke people and be like, why are all your this is when I was like years ago, Facebook first came out, and I was like going down the black hole, you know, the rabbit hole, so to speak, you know, like all this stuff of what's going on with, you know, and they're like, it's Illuminati or it's blah, blah, and I was like, what is this? Like my mind was being opened and blown, and I was like crying over like all the stuff happening. I'm like, ah, you know, and then like I remember talking to people and being like, why are you just posting about cats? Don't you realize the world is gonna end? And then like I like pulled it back in and was like, wow, you know, nobody's shifting or changing their opinion based on what I'm posting. They're not. And the people who like it or love it already agree with it. The things that actually shift or help change people's perspective are conversations like what we're doing, which is why I encourage people to love and share this. I'm not telling people love and share my posts that I make all the time, but this is a conversation. This is the pros and the cons. This is the ins and outs. This is the ups and the downs. This is the interaction that needs to be happening in a format, in a way that people who are on either side of this can hear what each side thinks or why we think what we think. That I think helps. But for the most part, I feel like me posting about what's going on and down the rabbit hole is the same as a cat photo or vice versa. It's not really shifting anyone. At least the cat photo makes people smile, you know, that's cool. So,
it's important. It's good to smile.
So I had told Sil that I would work on him. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to work on Sil, if that's okay. Sil, if you don't mind, go ahead and come on here and I will see.
Did you send her the link?
No, I didn't. I don't know if I can do that because I think I can only have so many people on here at a time.
No, you can have her. You can have her.
Okay. Guests, invite a guest, copy to clipboard. Okay. Whoa. I don't know how to do this. All right. How can you come on? I will Facebook message you and show you in just a second. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
This is so cool. I've never done this. I feel like super tech savvy now.
You're doing it, girl.
All right. So Sil, I sent you the link.
Do you know what Sil wants to work on?
I honestly, Sil, don't know if you're a boy or a girl. We've never talked before. We've never spoken before. For all I know, some come on here and be like, Jennifer, you're the worst person ever, and I'm finally online to tell you about it now. I'll be like, that's cool. I send you all the love. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's like it kind of broke me out of my box. I don't know, I think it was early last winter when I went to speak on the microbiome, and in, where was it?
Minnesota.
Wisconsin. And I went to go speak on the microbiome there, and people started coming up when they found out I could muscle test. And so I had a line of people just waiting to be muscle tested. And yeah. I went from like me doing it quietly for like one person, and then somebody walking by and the next person, you know, like an event. And then it was like a line of people. And at that point, I was like, you just got to own this, like whatever it is. Like they might like it, they might not like it. You just own whatever it is. So I haven't seen Sil as far as like putting in a thing of coming on. So okay. Yep, hit the link. And then you should be able to, after hitting the link, it says could not connect, they said.
Oh.
I don't know. Still says I'm a woman. Hey, lady. Okay, still for Sylvia, probably. All right, copy to clipboard. All right, I'm sending the link again. I don't know what to do other than that. The only other option would be wrap up this podcast. We're at 1 hour and 20 minutes. And then we go back on my own Facebook Live.
That might be the best thing if she's not able to click the link.
Yeah, I wonder if it's something where it's like something with like a phone connection or something. You know how like when we signed up for StreamYard, we had to like have interacted and make sure our computer all that. So I wonder if it's something like that. Yeah.
She has to be on a Chrome browser.
What did you say?
She has to be on a Chrome browser, not Safari.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna get off here, and then I will start a Facebook Live to work on people, including Sil, depending on how long it takes, or anyone else, I guess, if we have time. And I love you guys.
Love you
So much. Bye.
Bye.